Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, Tony. So Tony's in Canada, and since the border's closed, he has to drink other wines all the time until, I know, until the border opens. He's going to come down with a semi
and pallet it up, which is smart. I mean, you never want to be in a situation ever again.
You know, but to be honest, I do have 3,000 bottles in my cellar, so I am ready for like 3 COVID, so it's okay.
Yes, Adrish, Mom does look different, completely.
Does he have the background of your guys' place?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
As does Paul, as does Mike. 5:07. It's time to start, though. We'll get started. So, cheers. Everyone. Nice to see y'all. This is Megan. Megan is one of our favorite farmers in the Yakima Valley, and she's going to come tell us about things other than grapes, because although she grows grapes, not wine grapes, she grows juice grapes. Megan grows all sorts of different things. And I think, as I said in the email, that every time Megan grows a new crop, she tells us to expand the recipe book so that we know what all to do with it. So, and because I didn't used to cook with a lot of edamame, this is a new crop, we asked our other friend Erin and said, Erin, what do you do with this stuff? She sent a whole litany of recipes. We felt like the hummus was a good one for happy hour, and I like it. It's beautiful. I love this color.
It looks good.
And if you're super pro winemaker, nice, good job, Robin, beautiful. You grow your own cucumbers to eat the edamame with, which is, you know, this is the difference between gardening and farming. I had 1 cucumber on my plant today. Megan has more edamame than that on her things.
Yeah, and I just grow it. I don't make things, so I let Carrie do that part.
It's what good friendships are all about.
Rounded, very rounded.
So before we get too much more into how she grows all of my food, we're gonna let Sebastian tell us about, or Dad tell us about. Oh, Sebastian's ready. Tell us about what's going on in the vineyard.
So wait, is it the Syrah grape?
Tell them what you saw when we drove up first.
All the grapes are really turning purple, is what I can see.
And then this is a Syrah vine. And Sebastian, if you want to enlarge where the clusters are, Care. Wait, she'll do it. Okay, go ahead, tell them about the clusters.
So right here, the lower grapevine, you can see that mostly this one's greener and this one's more purple, because this one's growing faster and this one's not really growing as fast.
So there's a lot of variation in the tempo of change in the Syrah block. You can see just a little above that green cluster, there's another cluster that's very green. And so this is normal. But what struck Sebastian when we were driving up there is he goes, wow, look at all these purple grapes. And that wonder that happens at this time of year was in the 6-year-old. So then we can show the shoot tips, Carrie, on these. And you can see a little bit of growth just at the tips of the shoots. We have another real hot spell coming this weekend, over 100 degrees. And so we want the vines to go into that rock in good health. And so we've got the irrigation pattern set, and the vines are going into it in good order. Then we'll switch over to the cab. And so when we went from the Syrah vine over to the Cabernet, what did you see, Sebastian?
I saw that, I can't remember actually.
Okay, you saw everything was purple. Just
yeah,
about.
That's what I was gonna say, but I thought that I was supposed to say something else.
You are, because I took this picture first thing this morning when Sebastian was still asleep, but then I took him up to the vineyard to see the vines and these shoots. And lo and behold, when Sebastian got there, what did you find in the way of the?
nets. And I was like, well, these nets are to keep the birds away, right? And he was like, yeah.
And so we got there just after the nets were draped over the vines. The ladies come back and tie the nets underneath the cordons. The cordons are where Sebastian's left hand is in this picture. And so secure it so that the birds, there are certain types of birds, robins in particular, that will jump from the ground up onto the cordon between the gaps in the nets. And so we're caught in a bit of a quandary because we need room for the sampling lady to get her hands up underneath the net and to get the clusters out. But at the same time, we want to discourage the robins from getting up there. We have walked in a row where a robin saw us coming, collapsed its wings and rolled down the net and then onto the ground and flew away. And that's been on more than one occasion. But the netting is going on really well. It's a race against time. And so the birds are out there. They want the grapes, but we don't want them to have them, especially this year. Very promising year again for the Cabernet Sauvignon. So that's a report from Sebastian and me.
All right. Do we have any more questions before we mute Dad? All right. And you guys?
Yeah.
Done. You're done.
Cut off.
So, Anya, unmute yourself. Wait, you turn the. Okay.
You unmuted?
Now we can hear you. We're tasting Riesling, and Anya wanted to say something about this. What do you want to say about the Riesling, Anya?
There's a Riesling for everything.
Everything happens for a Riesling, doesn't it?
Yeah. And what's your favorite one?
My favorite wine is Riesling.
And what's your favorite pairing?
My favorite pairing is Riesling and lemon cake.
That's the recipe that we sent out this spring with the wine club. So if you want to make Anya's favorite pairing, go back to your spring newsletters, and on the back of it are the lemon cake recipes.
And what was a memorable dish you had this week with Riesling?
Rabbit paella with Riesling.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
So
So,
this is our recipe girl here, right here.
anybody have any questions for the assistant winemaker, since she's prepared to answer them this week? All right, Scott, we were eating peas on YouTube because Megan grows snap peas as well. And so I linked back to that video, which we did in June?
Late June?
Yeah.
Mid-June? Yeah.
So one of the nice things about farming here is, and most people grow a more diverse set of crops than we do, because you can harvest one thing and then the next thing and then the next thing and then the next thing. And it gives a lot more diversity of income sources, but it also means you're harvesting different things at different times, which is easier to manage.
Yeah.
And yes, that was also with Riesling, because basically, Megan, why don't you tell us about the Riesling?
Okay, well, that's a really hard question, because, I mean, seriously, there are so many good things about Riesling that there's not just one point that you can go to. Just, it goes with everything. What was your tagline?
There's a Riesling for everything.
There's a Riesling for everything. That's my new favorite. Yes.
All right, so on that note, we can go over to why you farm all these different kinds of things and the edamame, and I can turn the different pictures on or not as we go.
Sounds good. Okay, so
tell us about yourself first.
That would probably
be
helpful, huh? So I'm Megan. I've been a farmer around here for about 12 years. My whole family has farmed. I'm a 4th generation farmer. My great grandpa came over from Germany and homesteaded actually in Canada, and then eventually made his way over here. So we've grown all different types of crops. We've grown pumpkins and squash, We've stopped growing those because labor prices are just so outrageous in Washington, and we're competing with Mexico that doesn't have any actual labor laws. And so we've just had to stop that. And so we've kind of moved on more towards Concord grapes, which we've had for years. Hay is a new crop that we've started this year. And then silage for cattle has been one that we've been raising for years also.
And you raise cows.
We also have cows. Who are being so fun today.
They're delicious. Thank you for growing them.
They are delicious. Oh man. So we're doing, so my dad and I have kind of combined our farms together. And now that we're not doing pumpkins and squash, we're trying to focus more on snap peas and edamame and doing more crops where we can have a small amount of them so that we can actually hang out with the consumer and talk to the consumer and get to know you guys and allow you guys to have really good produce where you know where it actually comes from. That was one of the things that we really disliked about the squash and the pumpkins. As much fun as it was to just put it on a semi and ship it out, we never got to talk to anybody. And all we ever heard from the broker was, we want more, or yeah, we're going to go a different direction because it's cheaper. And we didn't like that. And so we really just want to get back to where we get to talk to you guys and show you what crops are all about and how good they can actually be when you get them fresh off the farm. So we're doing very small quantities. Edamame is definitely something that is very new to us. So I will try to answer any questions that you guys might have, but I'll try to kind of give you a little bit of the rundown of how we actually raise these. So let's talk a little bit about why we actually raise the crops that we raise. They work really well in the climate that we have. The corn, hay, and Concord grapes do really well in our heat. They do well with our soil. We have really great irrigation around here, so they just handle our climate really well. We have a lot of alkali soil, so it's really salty, but the hay and the corn do really well with that. Corn tends to be a very mild crop that just grows most everywhere you plant, as long as you have water for it. And hay, there's actually varieties that are specifically bred for alkali soil that do really well there. So those are kind of the reasons why we do those crops. The snap peas really don't do amazingly well in our area because they don't like heat. They like cold weather. And so the west side is a much better place to actually grow them. But because we have most of the time milder winters, we can actually plant them really early. We actually planted our first set in the end of February. And then they'll actually come up, so we can actually get into the market a little bit quicker than most people can, because then we will get that heat set coming on, so they'll grow a little bit faster than if you were on the west side. We just tend to be, depending on how our spring is and how hot or cold it is, we tend to stop our growing season a little bit sooner than what most people would. And same for edamame. Edamame actually loves heat, but it doesn't like that 90 and above degree weather. So it really just depends when it's flowering and when it's actually setting the fruit. And that's really dependent on when it actually was planted and how soon it came up. And there's really no guarantee that it's going to come on perfectly when you need it to, which is the fun side of farming. Everything is just hey, it might work this year. You do your best, you plan your best, and the weather could decide that's not how it's going to work. And then you just try again the next year.
Which is an important reason why you have diversification, because if you don't have any of one crop, you better have the others.
Yeah. So the more eggs you can have in your basket, the better you're going to fare at the end of the season, honestly, which is why we have so many different crops. And it's just really fun. It's so much fun to learn all of the different aspects of each individual crop. And that's one of the reasons why my dad and I love the snap peas and the edamame, because we're just not used to it around this area. It's not something that's really anybody grows around here. A few snap peas, but really no edamame. Fresh edamame is not something that most people grow in the US. It's really just not, it's really not a crop that you can find. There's a few farmers, but not really. which is kind of surprising considering that soybeans are actually U.S. is the second largest producer of soybeans. But edamame tends to be a immature soybean, so it's a different variety. You're going to pick it when it's really green versus regular soybeans. You're going to pick it when it's completely brown, dried out, and it's used for something entirely different. So, yeah.
Let's look at some of these pictures.
Yeah, so let's look at some of the pictures. So basically, edamame is a very fickle crop in the very, very beginning. When you first plant them, you want to make sure that your soil is wet, but it can't be saturated. You have to make sure that you're planting when there is zero threat of frost. Otherwise, they will all die. They absolutely hate cold weather. So you want to make sure that it's about 55 degrees soil temp and above, excuse me. And then your growing season is about 75 to 100 days, depending on what variety you actually are using. And that obviously is very much dependent on weather conditions, what your moisture is, what your heat index is. There's so many different factors. So
really cute though. Look how cute they are.
They're really kind of cool though. When they're first coming out of the ground, and they're really tiny.
All right.
So we always make sure that we plant after frost. Go ahead and go to the next picture with the flowers.
That one's over here.
That one's over here. Or this one. Yeah. So, okay. So here's the flowers. You guys can see they've been coming up. This is when they're about 2 months old, roughly. And so you can see the flowers, they're getting ready to be pollinated right before they start growing the pod. And what's really cool about soybeans is that they're actually self-pollinating. So we don't have to bring in bees. We don't have to pray for the wind to work just right. But what's really cool about these is that they will actually open up during the day, so they can be pollinated by a bee or by wind. And if they're not, they'll close during the night and they'll self-pollinate, which is kind of interesting.
Cool. Natalie asked, where is most of the edamame imported from? Is it Japan?
China, I think. I believe China.
All right.
Yeah.
So you really want to get your edamame from Megan instead of China?
Yeah, you would definitely want to get it from
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the other really cool things about soybeans in general, and actually legumes, is that they're considered to be fixers. So they can actually pull nitrogen from the air, from the atmosphere, and they'll store it in their root system, and they'll eventually get these tiny little white nodules on them that will...
We have a new hashtag.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
And those little white nodules will hold nitrogen in their root system. And so if you actually plant soybeans or legumes, some sort of a legume as a cover crop, which we do in our grapes, and you disc them or mow them right when they flower, right before they flower, all of that nitrogen will actually go straight into the ground, which is really cool. So it's a natural fertilizer. If you allow them to continue to grow and get the pod, then all the nitrogen will then go into the pod and grow into the actual fruit that you're wanting.
All right, I'm gonna go back to some of these pods.
You want to show that one?
I gotta find it. There's so many pictures this week. I'm a little bit discombobulated, but that's okay.
Yeah. So here you guys can see the flowers are starting. There's one flower on the right-hand side that's about to get pollinated. Obviously, this pod is already pollinated. That one's about to be pollinated. And then you have little ones right here that are just starting.
Those are cute. They're hairy.
Yeah, they're really hairy. So if you go to the next one, you can see an up close one that just, yeah, that one. So these ones have just started within a couple days of being pollinated, and they start growing out. All soybeans have that little hairy coating on them, which is kind of interesting. And then the plants themselves, you can go to the next one, will actually grow about 2 to 4 feet tall, depending on what variety you have, as long as they're edamame. If they're the regular soybeans that the U.S. grows, or mostly grows, is about 5 to 6 feet, I believe. So these ones are definitely a lot shorter because you're wanting bigger pods, bigger actual edamame in your pods. And then we harvest, you can actually go to that one. And then this one isn't exactly when you harvest, you want to wait until they're definitely bigger, but it's the closest I could find because I didn't take any last year when we were growing these. But you want to wait when you're harvesting, you wait until they're about 2 to 3 inches long. They have to still be green. And then the leaves on the actual plant will start to kind of yellow up a little bit. And then you can either just go through and individually clip each one off. It's very labor intensive, or you can, if you're big enough, you can have a machine go through and they'll actually just kind of strip the entire plant of the pods off of there.
So is this what they look like right now?
There's a few plants that look just like that,
Very
but
cool.
not very many because we planted late in May, mid-May. So we still have probably 2 weeks to a month before they're really ready. And we planted in succession. So we had 1 week and then we waited a week, we planted them, and then we actually waited a week and we planted another section.
So Natalie asked, we grow soybeans all over Nebraska. It's our second largest farming production behind corn, which makes sense for the Midwest. Is edamame the same thing as soybeans?
It is, but it's a different variety and you harvest them a lot sooner. So you harvest edamame when it's still green, because you're obviously fresh eating them, or you're going to blanch it and then freeze it so that you can fresh eat it later, kind of fresh eat it. And then, but regular soybeans, like what you're going to see in the Midwest, are going to be completely dried. They're going to be brown or yellow. They're going to be used for soy milk, tofu, and different, all your soy products, soy sauce, if you ferment it, that kind of stuff. And it's going to be a different variety. So they're going to plant something entirely, even though it's a soybean, it's a totally different soybean.
Mm-hmm. And then one of the reasons that it's planted every other week is so that harvest is also staggered and it doesn't come in all at one time. Because, and would you do that? Did you do that with your other crops that you sold?
Yeah, we did that with the snap peas as well. We actually planted 4 different plantings so that we had them every week, a fresh set. And you can go back to the first set or the second set and re-pick some, but then you have less chance of a heat wave coming in and taking out your entire crop. And you also, because it's a fresh crop, it has a very small shelf life. So edamame picked fresh has maybe 7 days in a fridge, unless you blanch it and then freeze it. So you don't have a very long time to actually sell. So you want to plant every week and plant a certain section so that for 4 to 8 weeks, you can actually harvest and sell and have a longer time.
Okay. So why don't people grow edamame in the US?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know.
Don't tell anyone, Paul. Megan's cornering the market.
Yeah, I honestly don't know, because it's become such it's such a healthy product, and the way that a lot of people are kind of going more towards vegan, vegetarian, and it has so many health benefits. It's actually, I believe it's one of the closest protein sources you can have to meat without it being meat, because I believe it has all of the essential amino acids that you need, and I believe that's why. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's why. So I'm not 100% sure why, if it's just too expensive for that crowd and there's cheaper options, or people just haven't really found enough, and so not enough people actually want to farm it. Yeah.
So, Adrish asked who and where do you sell to? And there were a couple of do you ship questions.
We have never shipped, because I have no idea how they will actually handle shipping, but we could try. If somebody wants to volunteer, we could ship you some.
Well, Paul's in Portland. You'd be a good test market.
Perfect. You would be a very good. Okay, we'll have it Carrie get your address if she doesn't already have it.
I have it.
Perfect. And we will ship you some. We'll see how that goes, because that's something we've actually been wanting to do, and just see how it works. But
all right. Well,
yeah,
we could roll this out in waves. We can start in the Northwest by shipping to Portland, and then we can move a little farther and go to Nebraska, and then we can go up to Minneapolis and Minnesota, and then we'll go all the way over to the East Coast, and this will be great. So,
But we mostly sell locally. We sell, we go up to Yakima or Tri-Cities, and then we'll sell it locally if anybody wants to come here. And then we've sold our snap peas at the train station.
mhm.
And now that we have edamame this year,
Well,
I'm
as soon as
assuming
when the train station's open,
yeah,
we like to support the fact that we grow so many different things well here, because I mean, the Yakima grows everything, and yet people go other places. They go to Woodinville or Walla Walla sometimes for the wine, and they forget that everything grows in the Yakima Valley. And the diversity of crops that we go is just amazing, and we like to celebrate that. And the snap peas, if they're at the train station, that means I get to eat more of them. So
really good.
They're, oh my God, they're amazing. I can't eat other peas now because because yeah, I can't buy squash from the grocery store anymore, and I can't. So when you planted squash, would you stagger your squash, or with the longer shelf life, you could plant it and harvest it all at the same time?
So with squash, we plant all at the same time because you actually harvest and you store it. You can actually store it until we would harvest. Let's back up. Sorry. We would harvest around September until about mid-October when the first frost hit, and you could store it until about February. So if you didn't sell out right away, it could just sit in a storage unit as long as it had the correct temperature. And so you didn't have to stagger it. You actually wanted it to come on as quickly as possible so you could get it out of the field as quickly as possible so that you didn't have the frost. Same with pumpkins, obviously. As soon as Halloween hits, you're done. Nobody wants a pumpkin after Halloween. So yeah.
But it's interesting how people shift, or you grow different crops and you farm different crops based on so much of the supply chain and how it gets to market and where you're selling it and things like that. And so it's really, I mean, I like to say wine is the gateway drug to farming, because I mean, for a lot of people, it's the first time they've been in a field and in an agricultural setting, and yet it's just the tip of the iceberg of all the cool things that we grow. So maybe when the world is opened back up again, we can do farm tours of Megan's fields in addition to the, and what we should do is we should bring George, our geologist friend, to talk about how the soil's different and things like that. And so, because the peas, I mean, the soils in the field where Megan grows the peas and the edamame is totally different than it is up at the wine grapes. And so it's 5 miles.
Yeah. We have different fields even just across the road. It just depends on how people have farmed them in the past and just how everything has settled. And I mean, it's amazing, the diversity that we have around here.
Yeah. And June, we will get you in the shipping test plan as well. So, I missed something. Oh, June also wanted to know how often you talk to your customers. Is there a certain time of the year they come out and visit? How do you take it to them? Yeah,
so I basically just post on our Facebook page. Things are starting to ramp up. We're about to get ready. And then I usually just do a drop off in Yakima. And then if anybody wants to come to us, I give them my number and they can order whenever they want to, and we'll set up a little clamshell and get it to you. So we really, like I said, at the time, we're still very new with this whole thing. And so we're really just trying to get a customer base, trying to just talk to the customer and let you guys know what we're all about, let you guys know what we offer. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, but if you're on the socials, follow, the name of the farm is Autumn Vine Farm?
Yeah.
Farms.
Plural.
I like that you don't know either.
You'll get it if you do.
So look her up on Facebook, and are you on Instagram too?
Not for Autumn Vines, no.
Okay, well, look her up on Facebook because she's got amazing photos that she posts, and even if even if your shipping is still a work in progress, the photos are cool, and we all need more nice pictures of cool things on our social media feeds these days. So Megan's here to help you with that. All right, I feel like I missed some questions. What else do you guys?
Oh, do you crop rotate?
Oh, do you crop rotate?
Yeah, we do. You always want to make sure that your crop rotation is happening because there's just so many diseases and pest infestations that you can get if you don't. And so you just want to make sure and even just when you plant corn, the roots that you get from the corn, you want to utilize that because it's so good for the soil. And so you want to make sure that you then put your crop where you just worked it and spent all of your effort to make good soil. So we always crop rotate.
And I'm going to, I'm sending right now that it's Autumn Vine Farms on Facebook, and Mike and Sue are in Sunnyside. So they don't have to worry about the shipping.
We can just make sure we get you guys edamame.
Yeah. So we'll just do the phone number swap and make sure that you guys have access to all the cool stuff. All right. We'll see you later, June. Since he's got to go, Adrish wants to know how your new hire is turning out. Tell us about your new hire.
So my new hire is my 2-year-old daughter. She's been hanging out with me a little bit more on the farm than usual because babysitting's a little bit fun this time with COVID. So we've been teaching her how to irrigate. She's been a great irrigator in the corn. She's been driving 4-wheeler, but her little legs can't really reach. So, we have all this up on our Facebook page, and you can see her, her crazy trying to drive the 4-wheeler. Yeah. Yesterday she helped me with the hay. We harvested hay. They came in and chopped it, and she came out and all she wanted to do was eat snacks. So, I don't know, Adrish.
The apple does not fall far from the tree.
It really doesn't. Because it's pretty much what I do. I drive around in my truck or my tractor and I eat snacks all day.
And I go visit her fields and eat snacks out of the field.
Yeah.
It's wonderful thing about it. So organic. Your peas and edamame.
Yeah, so technically they're organic. We don't spray Roundup. We don't spray pesticides. We don't spray anything on them. We don't use commercial fertilizer. It's not USDA organic. We haven't actually gotten it certified. We personally don't want to go through the process because it's USDA. So if you guys have any questions, you are always more than welcome to come out to our field and see what we do. But yeah, it is technically organic.
Yeah, I feel like, well, again, everybody's talking about clean wine and organic wine and sustainability, and we dropped our certification for sustainability a few years ago because the certification actually wasn't best practices for sustainability in our climate and our environment. And at the end of the day, I feel like if you're buying something from the grocery store and you don't know where it came from, that gives you some indication of how it was farmed, but not really. I mean, organics is one system of farming, biodynamics is another system of farming, but the best way to get to know actually how your food was grown or how your wine was grown is to talk to your farmers.
Know your farmer.
Know your farmer.
Yeah.
And
because really every certification, it's dependent on your the person that comes out to certify you and what they see, what they don't see. And it differs from country to country. I can tell you Mexico organic is very different from US organic, even though it's technically certified USDA. It's not, it's just different.
It is political too.
It's very political. And that is what USDA certification or organic certification is. It's very political. So our grapes are USDA organic certified because we have to be in order to actually sell it to a processing plant. But because we're selling to a consumer, come get to know us. I'll tell you all about our stuff. Yeah. It's going to be so much cleaner. So
yeah, well, and I think too, one of the issues with organics and biodynamics are some of the things that are built into those systems are not actually the most environmentally friendly processes. And so if people are thinking that organic means that it's environmentally friendly, that's not necessarily the case. So again, if you're buying from the grocery store, I understand the concept, but if you have the opportunity to get to know your farmer, which is, here's your farmer. That looks awful. I gave blood today. Anyway, I'm sorry, it's an aside. If you get to know your farmer, then the certifications matter less.
Yeah.
You need a club. Oh, we could have a nationwide Autumn buying CSA.
I'm in.
All right. Apparently she's in. Send us your recommendations for crops and what all you guys want.
Whatever you guys
Frequency.
want, we'll grow it next year. Just throw it out there. I'm in. It won't take any effort whatsoever.
I have the software. I can help you with this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in. Carrie's in too.
Can we have the Tony Gill block? Tony, we need the border open. So if you can get the border open, you can.
That would help.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you're bringing the semi down, we could fill it up 3/4 of the way with wine and the rest of the way with food. That works too. Because we don't want you to be parched or hungry.
Yeah. Good food, good wine.
It's
a win-win.
They go
It's a
together.
win-win.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks for your part and the food part. Because I'm too lazy for that.
Thanks for making the wine. Same.
Mm-hmm. Artichokes. Can we grow artichokes here?
I don't know. I've never looked into that.
All right.
That'll be really interesting. I'm gonna look that up now.
All right. We'll get back to you, Paul, on that one.
I'll let you know.
Any other thoughts? Any other farm questions? What do you guys want to know? I mean, you don't get a chance to talk to farmers very often. All right. Were they hard to grow, Tony?
No, they're pretty easy. I just bought a little plant from it's like, you go to the nursery and they have a little starter plant. So you don't have to start the seeds by yourself. And yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Let's grow artichokes.
All right. I like artichokes. That works.
Go great on pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I make good pizza dough.
Yeah. Oh.
Ooh, and we have those pears. So we're getting into pear harvest. Our other friend, because all of the cool farmers in the Yakima Valley are also women, by the way, and of our age group. So this whole farmers are old white guys.
It's not true.
Not true.
It's not true.
We're breaking the mold.
Yeah.
So pears are coming into season as well. So we're gonna have we should do pears. We can do pear artichoke pizzas.
I want to join in. I'll just be in the background so I can eat. That's all I want to do. And I'll drink at the same time.
This is gonna be good.
It's gonna be fun.
This could be our party. We'll do pizzas in the vineyard. Co's got the pizza oven. Bring it to the vineyard. We'll have our outdoor pizza party for when we can open back up again from COVID. Pears and Riesling. Yeah. Ooh, we're planting arugula right now for one of our cover crops in the grapes. And Becky, I was thinking of you when Dad told me we were doing this, because Becky has arugula in her raised beds in front of her house. And so we are planting cover crops in the Congards that we have around the winery to improve soil health. There's over the years driving the tractor, there's been a lot of compaction. So we have fracking radishes that grow and frack the soil. And
do they work well for you guys?
Oh, they're awesome.
Okay, we need to try that, because our grapes are the same way. We need a fracking radish in our grapes.
And they're fun to say.
And it's really fun to say fracking radish.
So, and then, well, in the seed mix this time, we're getting arugula. So we're going to have 20, 30 acres of arugula. So we'll put that with pears on the pizza. I love it. Yes, they're actually called fracking radishes, Drish.
Yeah. You also plant hairy vetch and with it, and it adds nitrogen to the ground. It's really amazing. Yeah.
So fracking radishes, when you buy them in the store, they're called daikons, but what they do is they grow, they're about this big around, and they grow down. And even if your soil is really hard and really compacted, because when you drive a tractor over it, every time you drive a tractor over it, you get a little more compaction, until you have this really hard layer, and the radishes will actually grow right through that. And by putting their roots down, they break the soil up, you get more aeration, and it allows other things like vetch to get more established. And so we don't just grow our crops, we also grow the cover crops and take care of soil health and all of these other things that
and what's really cool about the cover crop is if you have 3 or more, it actually benefits the soil so much more, because like a fracking radish, then it opens up the ground. A hairy vetch will bring nitrogen in, and then triticale does something. It adds.
I thought triticale added nitrogen too.
It adds nitrogen too, but it doesn't add it. It actually takes the nitrogen out during the fall so that your Concord grapes will shut down quicker and better. And then when you mow it and disc it into the ground, then it will add more nitrogen back into the ground. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm wondering, so now we have a conversation about what leafy greens people like or don't like. Do we know anything about lettuce? So I have never, gardening, not farming, had success with lettuce because it's really hot here.
It's really, yeah.
And lettuces, oh wow. I think it's too hot this summer for you, Ree. Because it bolts like that when lettuce gets too hot. Holy cow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's bolted. It's too hot. Plant it in the shade. Because like I've planted lettuce, if you plant it really early or really late here and like under a tree and you give it a lot of water, it does kind of okay.
Yeah.
But
we do get hot. We get really hot.
Yeah, lettuce likes much more temperate environments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, similar to the Tony, like you were making the analogy that Bordeaux, one side of the road is Grand Cru, the other side is just a village level wine. You have to plant everything for your site, for your soil, and your climate. And the range of things we do here is amazing, but that doesn't mean we can grow everything.
Mm-hmm.
We can't grow Pinot, and we don't do lettuce. We can pretty much do everything else. So, Co's right. Artichokes do grow a lot on the California coast because they are prone to frost.
Huh.
But so is edamame. So maybe if we time it correctly.
After, we'll plant it with the edamame same time. We should try it. I think we should try it.
And depending on how long it takes to get ripe, that'll be at the same time as edamame in your boxes.
Yeah.
For your garden club.
My garden club.
I love it. I'm glad you guys are excited about this new business plan.
I'm really glad you guys are making a business plan for me. This is amazing. I really appreciate it.
All right. We got, Paul wants test shipping for artichokes.
All right.
I am glad that you guys are so willing to sacrifice and experiment and test all this stuff out with us. It's dedication.
It's amazing.
I like this.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any other questions? What else do you guys want to know? Sweet corn.
We don't grow sweet corn, but you can definitely grow it around here. We have a small little test plot that we are growing, but it's more for family and friends. So if you guys want that, produce box club, we could throw a couple ears in there and ship it out. So
I want corn.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we're always up for Shark Tank, Tony. I mean, actually, one of the reasons that I really love Sunnyside is that when I lived in Chicago, I had a group of friends who were professionals. And when I moved back to Sunnyside, I have a group of friends who are all entrepreneurs. Most of us run our own businesses. Most of us love helping each other out with our businesses. And, you start a business in a place like San Francisco or Seattle or theoretically New York. I don't know why anybody would start a business in New Jersey, but some people do. But then you have to find these networks and like groups of people. And for us, they're just our friends.
Yeah.
So Shark Tank is amazing. So any other thoughts since we're on Shark Tank? Dragon's Den. I've never heard of Dragon's Den. So while we're on startups, Adrish, do you want to give us an update on yours? Do you have a name? Since it's food related, we're going to ask him.
Yeah.
We're actually in the middle of working out what the name is. We've been like backing a couple of them. Actually, we should do a poll here. So, and this will be a good way for me to test my 30-second pitch or 10-second pitch. So actually just building on everything we just talked about here, there's a thing that me and a couple of other people are working on, which is really about how do we broaden access and democratize the buying and selling of fresh produce. focused mainly on B2B, but I guess eventually it could be a B2C as well. So, you know, for all the reasons that you talked about, Megan, right? Like there's lots of brokers, you know, you don't get to actually interact with the retailer. It's hard to get yourself out there, and all those sorts of things. So, but, so basically thinking something pretty basic like Fresh Exchange, and I'm seeing very little excitement about that.
Look at Co. Co's excited.
You're making up for everybody else, Co. Thanks. And then the other one we've been playing with. Huh? You don't know what the business is?
No, those are Co's jazz hands.
No, that's from Tony.
Oh.
So it's a marketplace for fresh produce, essentially, that connects like buyers and sellers much more efficiently and better than happens right now.
Mm-hmm.
So address, you mean like on a consumer level or on a grocery store level?
At a grocery store level, at a grocery store, grocery chain level. It's like B2B.
Okay, and not a multinational grocery store, just more.
Right now, US focused, but who knows?
Okay.
BC will be the next market.
That's right.
They buy a lot of our produce from our area.
And since we're on Adrisha's Shark Tank team, we'll push for that. We're taking care of you, Tony.
I love this. I love all the suggestions. So keep them coming. I'll keep track of these, and I'll bring them up to my partners in crime. Fresh food now. I like that. Farm to market. I love that. Other thoughts anybody has?
What about Vertex?
Vertex?
Will take longer to explain.
That's actually in the running.
Veg Bay.
Ooh, like eBay.
Oh, like eBay. Oh, I was like, what? Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Veg Bay.
I like that.
I do like that.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the original name.
Yeah, I agree with the Fresh Exchange. Too close to Fresh Express.
What? Oh, I didn't know. I don't know what Fresh Express is. I should look that up.
Prepackaged salad.
Okay.
And it's also, it's like a convenience store thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. So fresh food now, farm to market, Veg Bay. I got more things to play with now. This is great. Thank you.
Produce to you.
Produce to you. Okay.
This is fun.
This is great. This is reverse Shark Tank. Shark Tank, like entrepreneurs pitch to you guys. We're getting ideas. This is fantastic.
All right. When we come back after harvest, along with book club with Mary, we'll have to do the business updates and Drish, and so we can give him more ideas. Because I mean, honestly, other people's business plans is one of my hobbies. I think it's super fun.
Yeah.
You get to have all the input and do none of the work.
Yeah.
Dan's in.
No risk, just all ideas. All ideas.
All ideas all the
I like
time.
it.
Other people get to execute.
Yeah.
So
This is why I was a consultant for 12 years. Fresh tables. I like that.
oh, and Adrish, if you need influencers to help you sell your B2B, we'll connect you with Dan because he's taken over the influence world.
Okay. Great.
So, all right, cool.
Thank you guys. This is great. You will get commissions, Paul.
Ooh, Reese's fresh tables. I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
That's really cool.
Although we're also doing fruit.
Fresh fruitables.
Fresh fruitables. Okay.
I can't get in the other room.
This is awesome. All right. We've lost a bunch of people already. We're getting to 6 o'clock, but obviously we're open for ideas all the time. So if you wake up in the middle of the night with a brainwave, just send it over. I'll share it. Whether it's props for Megan, ways to do the CSA nationally, or maybe you should take vegetables.
Vegetables?
Vegetables.
I like it.
Yeah.
You can have it.
Adrish, are you okay with that?
You can pay me royalty in like edamame or something.
This is how the seedy underside of the farm.
The seedy underside is
farm.
seedy
The
underside.
agriculture industry works.
Yeah.
So, next week, guys, is our last happy hour before harvest because we are we have two more. Next week we're going to Haley. We're going to Italy with our wine specialist from. Well, she's got a lot of equipment. We'll find her a tunneling machine, Tony. We will get vegetables and wine to you. I promise. We'll. Yeah, that's probably true, Co. We actually borrowed a cedar from her the end of last week, so yes, CD
It's all relevant.
CD is a farming term. So Haley is one of a couple dozen certified Italian wine specialists in the country, and she's awesome. And so next week she is going to take us on a tour around Italy, and the wine is Carriage House. So Tony, you should have that one. And then the following week, we're going to go visit the Cote Bonneville estate, the house that's on all of the labels, and have some Cote. And that is our last happy hour before we get into harvest, because it's coming.
Ooh,
and
harvest is almost here.
It's frightening.
It's frightening and beautiful at the same time.
It is. Like, we get that first pick of Chardonnay, which is our first pick. It's like Christmas morning.
It is.
I love harvest. It's so fun. And then you get to the middle of October and you're like, are we done yet? Are we done yet? Are we done yet?
But it's so thrilling at the same time.
And exhausting and fun and everything. It's super.
It's a lot of emotion.
It's
a lot of emotion.
Yeah, but if you don't love harvest, you shouldn't be
a farmer ever.
You shouldn't be a farmer.
Ever.
No.
Yeah.
So obviously we love it, or we wouldn't still be doing it.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers. But anyway, we'll be doing stuff afterwards. And we look forward to, we're going to have to figure out how this works during harvest. If it works, we'll do a happy hour and do a harvest update. If it doesn't, we'll just do it afterwards. But we got a couple left. So thanks for sticking with us since March. This is amazing. I am so proud of us, all of us. So
thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. And I've got all of your commitments for the CSA.
Yeah. Bring on the ideas. We'll see what we can plant around here.
Yeah. Love it. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
Cheers.